Hey, we ready to get in it? This is a video by Dawson Rider. He wants to be like Kamen Rider, the Japanese Power Rangers. He be trying.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the recent announcement of a brand new Disney Plus Power Rangers show yet again. I reported on it yesterday. Well, not reported. Let's not gas it up. I just talked about it. I let you guys know if you didn't know, but you probably already did. But anyway, I talked about it yesterday, gave my thoughts a little bit. But in this video, I wanted to give some expanded thoughts on some things. That's going to primarily be at the end. I'm going to kind of clarify some of the, well, try to clarify some of the confusion and questions people have. I don't have all the answers. I have some answers and some stuff we don't know, but I can kind of guesstimate about some things. I did finally read the comment section, and there was the usual suspects of blind Disney hate, but there was a surprising amount of people that were optimistic, and I appreciate that. See what these comments are like. Hopefully, we can keep things civil. But anyway, first thing I want to address, which I did address in the video, is that Disney does not own Power Rangers again. They're just distributing this. Now, they might have some say in the show, but Hasbro is producing it. And some people were surprisingly confused by this. Like, this is one of those things that makes me think, do Power Rangers fans watch anything else? Because this is like no different than any of the other dozens, if not hundreds of shows that make deals with Netflix, Disney, Hulu, Max to air the shows. All those usually have their own originals where it's all in-house, something like Stranger Things and whatnot. But there are also so many shows that will just license to one of the streamers to be streamed on. And this is, in a way, no different than that. I mean, it's a little bit different because some of them is just like, hey, we're going to have Grey's Anatomy on Netflix or something like that. But it's kind of a midway point where it's a partnership where Hasbro still owns it, but they're licensing it out to Disney to be the exclusive streamer. But it's kind of like the Doctor Who situation where I'm sure they will have some level of say. We don't know what kind of level of say, though. It could be as simple as when it drops, how it drops, the episodes. They could have notes. I'm sure they're going to have notes, but we don't know what level. It could be 10%, it could be 50%. So I think it's best to reserve judgment on that. Like with Doctor Who, as much as people like to say it's Disney-fied and whatnot, I think a lot of that can be psychological, to be honest, because if you didn't tell me that Disney owned Doctor Who, like for the rights here, because they don't own it still, it's still BBC, I would never even think about it looking or feeling like Disney, and as far as I know, the only note they gave, like I said in yesterday's video, was one note in Church of Ruby Road about wanting a scene, kind of introducing the Doctor earlier, which wasn't a terrible note. They weren't like hey, I want a note in there that the Doctor has Disney propaganda. I'm sure people will find a way to, hate on that, but in general, we just don't know. But the point is that it is entirely possible Disney could have some say in how the series plays out that could impact it positively or negatively, but the whole Disney's gonna ruin it, blah, I'm Chandler, blah, it's just so stupid. Let's just wait to see how much it's changed. But the point is, regardless, Disney has much less of a grasp on this. Compared to Marvel, Star Wars, Wizards of Waverly Place, anything else they own, they don't have as much of a say compared to when they would actually own it. Speaking of, I've seen a lot of people celebrating the return of the Disney era. Now, I really appreciate seeing love for the Disney era because it's my goat. It's my favorite era. I love it so much. But I don't think this is going to be that. I mean, it could be a return to quality. It could be, and I expect it to be, honestly, considerably better than the Neo Saban / Hasbro era in regards to the show. You don't have to try too hard. And there's some stuff I even liked in those eras. However, I don't think we're just going to magically go back to Jetix. Would that be cool? Honestly, I wouldn't be necessarily mad at that if they did a Jetix throwback or whatever, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. A lot of people are thinking that they're just going to go back to it, even with Doctor Who. I'm going to bring that up a lot, honestly, because I've been on a Doctor Who kick for over a year, because I did a rewatch for the 60th, and I've just been riding a high. I don't know, love that show. Anyway, the new show, going back to Russell T Davies, does feel very familiar. After the, Whitaker Chinball era, going back to that for the 60th and season 1 definitely felt familiar, but it also didn't feel the exact same as the original Russell T Davies 10 era. You just can't go back home. That's kind of the old saying. So it's not going to be that. Even if they tried to do it, it wouldn't feel the same, but it's definitely, I mean, I can't say for sure, but I'm 90% sure it's not going to go back to that feel of Ninja Storm through Jungle Fury / RPM, which is an entirely different feel. Future Dawson here with one little note that I forgot to bring up in the video that was on my notes in regards to the whole going back to the Disney era thing. Another sentiment I see is people saying, why would Disney buy it back? They hated it. First of all, the whole they hated it thing is such an oversimplification and another case of fans thinking that everything's out to get them in the brand. They just simply didn't care about continuing with it. They were more apathetic than anything. However, it's worth noting it's been like, what, over 10 years, 15 years? I'm sure there's still some people that worked on the brand there today, but it's entirely different structurally. The company is completely different than it was back in the day. What they did back in 2009 has absolutely no precedence over now. And that brings up the other thing, too, is people are immediately now brainstorming. All right, we're going back to adaptions. Are we going back to adaptions? Honestly, we don't know a lot right now. All we have is that little blurb that says they're reimagining it for a new era. That could mean anything. That could mean Sentai adaptations. That could mean just a live action reboot. It could be animated. Not animated. It's not animated. I just defeated my own point, but it could be like live action puppets. Like, we don't know. I don't think it's gonna be that. But it could be anything. However, I would be shocked if we went back to Sentai adaptions. I did do a video within the last year talking about like what ifs of like what if Disney kept it, what if Saban Entertainment kept it, and I could see a world, a timeline out there in the multiverse where if Disney had kept Power Rangers on through Disney XD and it remained a staple for them, where it would maybe migrate to Disney Plus. However, we don't live in that world. I just don't think it would make sense for them to go back to something that would feel probably kind of antiquated to them. And even though I think it has its charms, and I wouldn't be mad if it returned one day, which I'll get into, I just don't see that as being a good, viable pitch for why Disney would pick it up. Especially with like the Percy Jackson directors and the talks of it being closer in tone and style to that. Not necessarily style, but you know what I mean. Probably at least somewhat-ish. And the Goosebumps series. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm prepared to eat crow because you never know. I'm a poet and I didn't even know I rhymed those words. But we've been through so many plot twists. I was thinking about this yesterday, from Hasbro buying it to like the slow downfall of Hasbro to the Playmates thing to the 2010 reversioning paradox time loop thing to this. So who knows? But I'm like 98% sure it's not that. It's fun to speculate, but I highly doubt we would go back to it. I feel that and I don't want to go back to that. I know I've been a broken record about that. It's not that I hate the old format, because obviously that's why I'm a fan, but I really want to see PR try to break out and do something different. And we tried it with 2017 and it didn't work out, but we've been circling this reboot for like 3 to 4 iterations now, and I think we just need to give it a try. I don't think like after this, if it fails, we should stop forever, but I do think if this does fail, maybe we do try to go back to something like that in some form, but we gotta at least give it a try, like a good, honest, full court press try. I just want to see that right now. Apparently, though, take this with a grain of salt, because it was one of the news bits that came out with Jinsaku with this, is he did say that he's heard it's not MMPR, which could be a good thing. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some echoes in there. This is just my speculation. Like, we might use the classic color scheme or something. You know, maybe have a Green Ranger in there. Like, there might be some similarities there, but that's at least good news. But I think it's going to be kind of a wholly original type of thing. Also, something people have been speculating on, or immediately going back to, like, I don't know why people think we're going to go back to 2007 all of a sudden, is that we're going to get back 35, 40 episode seasons, and I don't think that's going to happen. Like I said yesterday's video, I think probably 8 episodes. Goosebumps Season 1 had 10. I don't know how many Percy Jackson had. I would love 13. I just rewatched most of the Marvel Netflix era before Born Again, and I think that was such a sweet spot for that, because it really had time to breathe, but it was also concise. Obviously, it's a different type of show, but it's funny because when it comes to PR, my stance on PR with episode count is I don't necessarily think it needs 50 episodes, but it's kind of like this weird clash with my thoughts on everything else, where I honestly think the amount of episodes a TV show needs should be a case-by-case basis. Do you need a 6-episode miniseries only? Great. Do you need 3 seasons of 24 episodes? Let's go for it. I think it should be like that and not be a standard, but it's definitely disheartening to see so many shows go to this miniseries format, 8, 9, 10 episodes only. And I do miss, like, the CW network type shows where you had 24 episodes. You had time to do mini arcs and holiday episodes and meaningful filler episodes, and you felt like you spent a year with them. So it's funny because when it comes to other TV, I want to see us bring back larger episode counts. Even 13 episodes was great. Like, in those Marvel Netflix shows, it was almost like weirdly refreshing, even though I'd seen them before, to see like certain characters get subplots and have subplots in the shows, because we have like no time for that anymore. And it was kind of almost nostalgic and refreshing. So I want to see us go back to more episodes for regular TV, but with PR, I don't want to see it as small as 8, but I really am curious to see like a more focused Power Rangers type series of 13 episodes. I think 13 would be...
I'm thinking most of this is, the rest of it is just him talking, how he feels. How do you feel? The Rock doesn't care. It doesn't matter how you feel. Gotta hit him with that. Anyways, gonna get out of here. I gotta get some gaming streams out, y'all. My computer going dead. I got my charger right next to me if I need it, but still, you know, it is console territory.